Hi everybody, my name is Kalyani Shukla and I am the student of MBA Honors. And in the subject ethical leadership, I have been assigned to make a video presentation on one of the topics that are given in our syllabus. And the topic that I have chosen out of my syllabus is leadership styles and their ethical dimensions. So here I am explaining some 4 to 5 ethical styles that are existing in this management systems along with their ethical dimensions. What could be the right perspective of it and what could be the wrong perspective of it. This is the disclaimer. Before getting into the video, this is the thing that any leadership style, be it autocratic, be it democratic, situational, or transformational, or transactional, or servant leadership, any leadership style is not purely ethical or not purely unethical. Leadership style depends upon the behavior of the leader and the final destination and intention for which the purpose you are serving for this leadership style. So, getting into the first leadership style, our first leadership style is namely autocratic leadership. So, autocratic leadership means the power lies in one hand only. It is a power that says, be it do it in my way or another way do not exist into the system. So this system is very centralized in decision making. One good point where autocratic leadership can be fruitful is in the situations where the emergency is there. In the kind of situations where decision making has to be very fast and quick, autocratic leadership is very fruitful. So it has its own positivity and its own limitations as well. Talking about the positivity, it is useful in emergency, it is useful in military and disaster management and in every other field. Well, if I talk about the negative aspect that can create the ethical risk in autocratic leadership, is because it sometimes suppresses the voice of masses, people who are working for any purpose. Their voices are curbed, and sometimes this silence can lead to unethical points. Second is misuse of power. If the leader is using this power for some unethical purpose, of course the misuse of power is always there. Thirdly, it can lead to favoritism, or the culture fear is there, or any such kind of exploitation in such matter is always there. These were the plus and cons of autocratic leadership. Let's jump on to our second leadership style, that is democratic leadership. Democratic leadership is vastly used in today's arena. It says that power is shared by the people. Democratic always says to the people, by the people, for the people. And this is the people, this is the power where leaders say that we are open for discussions, we are open for opinions and feedbacks, and basis on that we will be coming to the conclusion. So of course it has its own encouragement and risk as well. If I talk about the plus points, it is fair and it is transparent. The process is transparent, accountability is always there in the people, and respect for diverse opinions is always there in democratic leadership. If I talk about some risk associated with this kind of leadership, the first risk is slow decision making, and the second risk is not suitable in crisis situations. Second thing if I talk about is transformational leadership. Transformational leadership is leading by inspiration and values. Inspiration means the leaders who are leading at the top point, and many people in masses are following this kind of people. Be it Narendra Modi, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi are transformational leaders. They were leading for any change in the society. So it has its own transformational leadership, has its own characteristics. It has idealized influence, it has inspirational motivation, it has individual consideration, and it has intellectual simulation. So again, the plus points and the negative points. Plus points is where integrity and long-term thinking is there. Transformational, as the word suggests, it transforms any person's mind into what you are today and what it is going to be in the long-term picture. The transformation, of course, is a long-term thinking. It aligns with the organizational ethics. Any organization which is working for the long term, right? So a transformation leadership is in my perspective, is the most ethical way what you can do for your organization's success. But again, it is coming up with some risk as well. If the power is going to some, you know, arenas where people are just blindly following that or person, this becomes a harmful picture. For example, let's say, if there any terrorist organization and the leader are influenced like leftist in today's arena, if I quote so, then this leadership can become deadly at the same time. Again, the risk, as I mentioned here, if the leader is unethical, followers may blindly follow. This becomes again the risk of it. Now, coming to our mm, next, transactional leadership. Transactional leadership, as the name suggests, is reward and punishment approach. By the term reward and punishment approach, we have already heard of the approach like carrot and stick. Carrot means the reward and stick means the punishment. This also depends on it. If I talk about the Indian context of it, Indian FMCG sales industry works upon this leadership. How? This has set targets. If any employee is able to achieve those set targets, he or she will get the reward in terms of incentives and perks and bonuses and whatnot. So this is the good thing. Good thing about it, that people are being disciplined here. People are, achieving the targets. They're setting their targets at the same time. But if I talk about the punishment side of it, in order people to make themselves not to fall into the punishment category, they follow some unethical rules as well. If we see, there are several unethical ways in Indian FMCG, or let's say in Indian pharmaceutical industry. There are some and unethical ways as well in the sales industry that we see. This is just an example of transactional leadership. So it comes, people encourage the shortcuts to meet the target. This is not just the long term picture. So in my point of view, if we are seeing the long term perspective of any picture or any scenario of an organization, transactional leadership is, I do not think is, in my point of view, I do not think is the long term picture of it. Why? Because this is a very short term picture. People are seeing today the results which are there in the purview, but what is there in the long term, what is they're not informed about it. And this creates chaos in the organization. Any organization which is working for a short term thing is not sustainable enough to maintain into the competitive environment. So people do not follow ethics when it comes to this transactional leadership, and sometimes become unethical. Now coming on to the laissez-faire leadership, this is hands-off leadership. Hands-off leadership means they have minimum control over the employees, and employees have the full freedom to do what they want. Now, this type of leadership is good and creative when the organization is on the peak of their skills, on the peak of their competency, and they're good enough in a sustainable market. This leadership style is very great. And if I talk about this organization not being great, in an organization where they're budding, like in a startup, laissez-faire leadership will not work. But in a good MNC, in a sustainable environment, laissez-faire leadership works. So it has, again, works when and works what not. It has leadership ethical risk as well, the lack of supervision or accountability lack. So this becomes a chaos when it comes to um this kind of leadership. Now, coming on to our servant leadership says that it the leader has the tendency to put employees or to put people first in such kind of scenario. So what happens is leader serves. Leader says that I serve, like the Prime Minister of India, he or she is serving the nation, the people. So this is the, if we can see this diagram here. So this, if I talk about it in a perspective of a company, servant leadership says that they are putting customer first, then they're putting employees, then they're putting management, and finally the leader comes into the picture. This is just like the captain of any ship. They're putting themselves up in the last spot. What is the strongest thing about this ethical leadership style? This promotes empathy, fairness, and inclusion, but at the same time it is perceived as weak in competitive environment, as I suggested. Coming to our situational leadership says what the situation is. Leadership depends upon the situation that an organization or people are into. Now, if we see this diagram, we can understand through this diagram. Here shows the performance readiness of any employee of any company. Let's see if the employees performance readiness is low, the leader has to take the approach of telling. Okay, and when there is moderate um, performance readiness, so then the leader has to take either the selling or the participating approach with their employees working. Now, what selling means? Selling means the leader is telling them how to do things, how to do the things in such a way that what happens in the organization. And in participating means the performance readiness has somewhat increased, and here participating is the collaborative approach where the leader is working at the same time with the employees. So this shows that employees are coming, although they are not ready properly, but they are collaborating with the leader, and they're coming up to the conclusion or to the final thing. And now comes the task of delegating. Delegating comes, leader can delegate any task when it comes their highest performance readiness is there. So employees, when in an organization employees are performing good, they have the information, they have the knowledge on how to do so the work, then it comes the delegating, where leaders just delegate the tasks, they do not do anything. Now, if I talk about the conclusion of all these leadership styles and their ethnicity is not the right word, their ethical thing. So autocratic is, in my purview, the high ethical risk is always there in autocratic. In democratic, ethically balanced, it can be good, it cannot be good. In transformation, leadership derives upon the values of your leader. If your leader is good and ethical, your outcome will be purely ethical. If the leader is not, you people will blindly follow the leader, it becomes the bad thing. Now comes the laissez-faire. Accountability derives upon it, so it can be, it cannot be. Servant leadership is strongest ethical base. Servant leadership, as I suggested, it depends upon the people or employee they are working for. So servant leadership, accountability is always there with the people, with the masses. And situation leadership, ethics totally depend upon the values again. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much.